When I first started going into this, I doubted myself. Why? Because I thought that other people would judge me. How could she know that? How does she do that? That can't be true. And I was afraid because I was so sensitive, and I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to judge me, so I'm just going to stay down here.
Welcome to Coaches on the Couch, the place where experts share their journey and inspire you to take action. My name is Pratishtha Bhalla. I am the founder and creator of Anxiety Free Leader and Coaches on the Couch, and I will be your host for this show. Today we have with us Lauren Winget, an intuitive success mentor. She mentors and coaches people on how to use their whole being, and by whole being I mean their heart set and their mindset. Today, she will be sharing with us how she brings this to life. She actually practices it every single day of her life, and she will be sharing with us the exact steps and her story about it. So make sure you stay with us till the end. And before we start, just subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss the update, because every week we are bringing in experts for you. A very warm welcome, Lauren, to Coaches on the Couch.
Thank you.
So Lauren, I saw you mentioning a lot about heart set and mindset. Let's begin with, what do you mean by heart set and mindset?
Okay, great. So thank you very much for having me on the show. I look forward to educating people on the power that they have from within. And what do I mean by heart set and what do I mean by mindset? So I like to lead with heart set because most people don't realize the power that they have within their hearts. And the heart, for all of us, is a very sensitive place to go. It's a vulnerable place to go. It's where we store our feelings, right? So most of us will tap into our heart when we want to express love for a family member, a friend, our husbands, our wives, our partners, whatever that is. And then we go right back out into our heads and we kind of navigate the rest of our day in a headspace. And why don't we stay in our hearts? Because it's a really vulnerable place to be. And most people just hold on to that and then bounce back out, as I said, into their heads. So what I teach people to do is stay in their hearts. I want you to feel, because what's in the heart? The heart is where love is. The heart is where your intuition is. The heart is where your truth is. And you can tap into that. Once we get beyond that wall of fear that is vulnerability, that's where the power is. So we walk through that wall of fear, and it can be a combination of many things that are whirling around in your subconscious mind. And once we get beyond that, what's on the other side of the wall of fear? Freedom. And that is the place where we can start creating a life that suits us better. So we think about, oh, I would like this in my life. I dream about that in my life. Well, where does that all start? It actually starts in the heart. So mindset, I use both. Mindset is what we tell ourselves to do, or how we're going to respond to something in life, right? So I like to use both because, as you said earlier, we are whole beings. We are our hearts and we are our minds. And mind is the language of thought, and the heart is the language of feeling. So we want to use both of those in combination with one another. We're not saying, let's get rid of all our thinking in our head. No, the mind, the brain is a very powerful tool also. but the heart is equally as powerful. And that's how I define heart set and mindset, and why we want to use our whole being to have balance and clarity in our lives. Who doesn't want that? So that's my definition.
That's very nicely said. And when you say about heart, we keep it protected because that is so vulnerable space. And most of us are putting a different face when it comes to facing the world because we are too scared to just share our emotions.
Correct.
So if someone is coming from that space, sometimes they don't even understand that the heart is equally important. So how do you explain to them that they need to use their heart because they have never done it before, especially in their work area?
Sure. So I have the gift of vision, which means I am able to tap into people's subconscious mind and see the thoughts that are whirling around in there. And those thoughts affect the heart and how we respond to things. So the more, say, negativity our mind is telling us about ourselves, which most of us are very judgmental of ourselves, right? Then when we go into our heart, we're already beating ourselves up just within. And then we take that and project that out to the rest of the world, right? And then we're saying energetically, we're saying to the world, oh, here I am. I'm not worth this and I'm unworthy of that. Here I am. And they say, oh, yeah, we agree with you. Instead of, you know what? I am this amazing being. We might not say that outwardly, but within we're feeling that because we've gone beyond the fear and we're really feeling the beauty and the power and the love in our hearts. And we project that out to the world. And energetically, the world responds back to that. So when we go into our heart space, we're actually raising our energy vibration. And so by raising that vibration, which is what love is a very high vibration, right? We start living a life where things start coming to us because we're at that vibration. So when we can go into the heart and as you said, or as you asked me, well, how do I get people to go into their hearts? I take them in there. I have them walk through a breathing exercise, and I have the ability of knowing when they're in their heart and they feel that space becomes very safe when they work with me. And then I feel them bounce back into their minds. And I say, hey, we got to get you out of there and go back in here. And here's what's going on in there. And so it's a little bit like, the game Bumper Pool, where you pull and the pinball goes from point to point on a game. I'm kind of like Bumper Pool. So that ball becomes all these thoughts that you have, and they expand way out. And I say, oh no, we're going to bring that in and we're going to shift that. And so how do we do that? One way we do it is just realizing that we're giving ourselves that information. And that is truth. So our heart is where we hold our truth. And when people hear that truth that I share with them, that is going on from within them, they know it. They can feel it. And I feel when they feel it. And when that truth gets exposed to you, thoughts that you don't even know are whirling around in your subconscious mind, it's kind of keys to the kingdom. It's like, wow, yeah, I don't want to carry that thought about myself, or I don't want to carry that thought about how I view the world. I want to shift that. And as I said, in the process of shifting that, we're raising our energy vibration. It's really powerful.
Yeah, as you said, what you reflect to the world reflects it back to you.
Yes.
And I find it like both good and bad, because sometimes when we are reflecting something, we are judging ourselves too critically. It would be so great if others just like pat her back and say it's fine.
Yes, yes. And so that's how energy works. What energy we put out is the energy we get back. I mean, that's scientifically proven. So we want to really be in a place of, as I said, clarity and balance, and feel that from within and approach our lives from that wonderful space from within, instead of trying to get that love or acceptance on the outside. Mm-hmm. And most people try to get that love and acceptance from the outside. And I teach them how to do it from the inside out. Because let's look at it in a different way. This will help. If you don't go to a place of loving yourself from within, living your life more from your heart than from here, and using them together, if you don't do that, then you're going to the outside to get your love and acceptance from other people. So what's happening? You're taking that love in, and that love is filtered through that person. So it's not really pure, because whatever they define as love might be different from how you define it for yourself. So do you want that coming in and restructuring how you view love? Because they are going to have a different lens on how they view the world versus how you view the world through the lens that you have from within. And we all have that lens. So I hope that helps. And that love that comes from the outside, as I said, it's very filtered. It's like, do you want to live your life that way? Or do you want to live your life in truth, where you know what's right, where your intuition is telling you and speaking to you, and you have a good relationship from within to go out and do your life in the world?
Yeah, Lauren, as you were mentioning this, a question was popping in my mind, because when we tell people that first you love yourself and the love should come from within, then the people say, then should we not have any expectation from our relationships? Then how is it a relationship? So how do you address that?
Sure, that's a great question. So what happens when you start loving from within, you start attracting that powerful love from the outside, because that's how energy works. And we're all walking energy fields. We're all walking energy beings, animals, people, everything on the planet is energy based. So when you go to that place and you have raised your vibration, you start attracting that raised vibration from other people. And those are the people that you start having a comfort level with. So we've all been around people who are, say, great leaders, and they really have passion and they speak from their hearts, and we're so drawn to them, right? So that's what we want to do within ourselves. And then the people that we see, the everyday people in our lives, pick up on that, and it helps them to raise their vibration if it's lower than yours, or you're bringing in people that are already in a raised vibration, and you're going to live your life in that higher place. Does that help to answer your question?
Yeah, I think that helps. And when you say about leaders, often leaders, mostly I have seen that leaders say that we are very logical, and don't use your heart, use your mind to make decisions. So if they're not using data, then they find it difficult to justify maybe to their seniors or to others. So how do they use their heart set while being logical?
So you can use both, and we're not trying to get rid of logic. There's a time and a place for logic. So the leaders of the world, whether they're in politics or whether they're in religion, whatever that is for them, they will use logic I want you to use logic. I want me to use logic. And as you start getting in balance with your mind and your heart, you're going to then determine what part of that logic from a leader that you want to take in. And if you're not feeling their heart, then you can put up a bit of a barrier and say, okay, I get what you're saying logically, but I'm also going to apply my heart into this, because that resonates with me and helps me to live a more balanced life. So leaders, we'll just use leader A. So leader A is going to get up and talk to a room about something logical, okay? It's going to do the logic, or she's going to do the logic. If they are speaking logic and they're trying to get a point across, the leader that we're going to really listen to is the leader that has a lot of passion, like I have a lot of passion around what they are trying to convey, what they want you to take in. Well, where does the passion come from? It doesn't come from here. It comes from their hearts. So they're actually using their hearts to express the passion about what they're saying, even though it might be logical, about what they're saying, and they want you to take in. Now, it's going to be different if you're sitting in a classroom and you're listening to a professor who's talking about mathematical equations. That's very logical, yeah? However, let's use a mathematical equation. And I love this because let's say you start out with this big statement, a big problem, and you're going to try to have X equal Y, right? But it's this big, long equation. And you keep breaking down the equation until it gets to its simplest form, right? Where X equals Y, where whatever that is, right? 5 equals Y or whatever. That is the simplest form. That's everything to do with the heart. Think about that. When you are able to take in information and kind of dissect it, and you take it to its simplest form, in the simplest form, that is the truth. That is what you resonate with, what you feel in your heart. It's like, yes. So we'll start up here with that big logic, and the professor's up on the board writing out this equation and going through formula after formula to get to the simplest form. When you get there, that's like, now we can be in a heart space. Now we feel really good because we've explained this, but we feel it here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how does a person who has been logical all their life shift to this space? Like, what would be the first step?
Okay, that's a good question. So the first step is to start opening your heart. Well, how do you do that? I don't want to go in there. It's too vulnerable. I want to protect that. So you can do it in a physical way. And what I have people do is I have them walk through a breathing exercise, which is very simple. And I can walk you through it right now. It only takes 20, 30 seconds. So let's try that and you'll see what I'm talking about. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, sure. I'm 100% in.
Okay, great. So normally I have people close their eyes, but you don't have to. I have them close their eyes because I really want them to get in touch with their hearts. And they close their eyes and they take a deep breath in. So take a deep breath in and hold your breath. And now, as you breathe out, imagine that you're breathing out through your heart. And then take another deep breath in and hold. And imagine that you're breathing out through your heart. And you can close your eyes. It's easier the first time to do it that way. So once again, take a deep breath in and hold. And with your eyes closed, breathe out through your heart and keep your eyes closed. And now feel that shift in your body. Like I can really feel some tingling through your forearms and your hands right now. And that's an energy release. And you can feel how your heart is connecting to your body. And it feels really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, surely. Like I could breathe out, and I was feeling that I'm breathing from my heart area.
Yes.
I hope the audience also tried the same.
Yes. And they can replay this and do that exercise. It's very simple. But now, do you feel that shift, how you're more in your heart and you feel more at peace? And it's in this space that you're very receptive to receive information. So when I take someone into their heart space, which we've just done with you, and you're sitting in this lovely space and it doesn't feel too vulnerable, it feels actually safe to be in there, right? Then I start tuning into the person, and I can share with them what's going on in that subconscious mind of yours. And I put that on the table, and it's information that a person is ready to release. But when you're in your heart, that's when you're open to hearing truth. When you're in your head and somebody shares truth information, you kind of want to fight through it. You want to create these logical reasons why that's probably not true. So you miss the beauty and the purity of that heart space, which is really where most of the information and truth about your spirit lies. That's where it is.
Yes, I think because some people mention that whenever even someone is saying the truth, I feel I am right. So that is like the moment you said this, it clicked me, and it reminded me of someone who was telling me that even if someone is saying that it's right, I have to stand up and I have to argue, or I think in my mind I am right, because that person maybe forgot to connect with the heart and open up.
Yes. Yes. So let's use that as an example. That's a really good idea. Let's say someone comes at you with their logical mind and trying to tell you that the way you look at something or the way you're doing something in life is wrong. Well, when you are in a heart space, you're very connected to your energetic being, which we all are. And that person coming at you with their energy, trying to convince you that you're wrong, is trying to cross a line and an energetic boundary with you. And who gets to determine whether or not they get to do that? You. You get to determine that. And most people think they don't get to determine that. They think that person that is more powerful than they are decides how it's going to be for them. It's like, nope, that's not true. So we're looking at this as two energy fields. And that energy field of this person who's trying to convince you that it's another way is coming at you like this energetically. And then you're over here with your energy, right? And that person, he or she, is trying to mow you over basically and say, no, it's going to be this way. And so from that energy space and from your heart, you don't have to fight back. You just say, no, I'm going to hold this line. And that energy that you're throwing at me is just going to go over, not taking it in. It is our choice whether or not we want to take in someone else's energy. And most of us don't know that. We think we just have to kind of take it. And so then people get kind of beat down, and they're getting all this, as we said earlier, they're getting all this from the outside, right? Just like we talked about getting love from the outside, it's getting that powerful energy from the outside. We do not have to take that in. And we don't necessarily have to push back, unless sometimes we have to push back. We can do that from a heart space and say, not out loud, but we say within, oh, nobody gets to cross this line unless I allow them to. So you can throw that at me, but I'm not taking it in.
You have mentioned it.
So it becomes a much more powerful way to live and a much more peaceful way to live, because you're living life on your terms, not terms that are defined by someone else.
Yes, we need to live our life on our own terms, and that is easier said than done. I think for that, we need to get to a different level and, of course, get mentors and coaches, work with them in our journey.
Sure.
So, Lauren, can I just track you back to your journey? How did it started, and what made you the mentor you are today?
Okay, that is an interesting story in that, and this, your audience will really understand this, because as a child, I was super sensitive. And I got from both my parents, you're too sensitive, you're too sensitive. So it was like stereo, right? Speakers coming at me, you're too sensitive. So as a child, I thought, oh, I took that in as a bad thing. That was like a character flaw, that, oh, I was too sensitive. And so I went through my childhood and into my early adult life thinking that I was too sensitive because I was told I was. Well, the beauty of that sensitivity is that you're much more open and receptive, let's say receptive to energy, which again, we're all walking energy fields. So I started studying energy, how it affects the body, and I started seeing things which I wasn't sure at first. And I was seeing things as a child, but I don't know how I knew, but I knew not to tell anyone. So as I got older and I had my own child, and I had a boy, and he was 4 months old, and I used to get these messages. I didn't know where they came from. I just said, oh, okay, here's a God message, or here's a message from the universe. And I was holding my baby in the kitchen, 4 months old, and I got this big message. And the message was, your son will be a man of God. And I thought, okay. So I kind of took that information in, and that's how all of this was really starting. And then he became a man of God. He now is a pastor. So I received that message when he was 4 months old, but it's these downloads. And that's what's really started me on this journey of, well, wait a minute, if I'm getting those kinds of messages, how can I use this to help other people? So I started opening myself to that. And I did a lot of study. I did a lot of reading. And as the years have gone by, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and I work with people all over the world. The first person I worked with outside the United States was on the other side of the planet in India. Oh, wow. And that was my client. And I thought, am I going to be able to tune into that person? I didn't think I could. But what I've learned, and you'll read this everywhere, is energy knows no bounds. There are no bounds. And it was just like like we're talking right now, there are no bounds. I can hear you, I can see you, and you can see and hear me. It's just like that with energy. So I was able to help this person with their energy. And as I went through, and this is important for your audience also, I would doubt myself. When I first started going into this, I doubted myself. Why? Because I thought that other people would judge me. How could she know that? How does she do that? That can't be true. And I was afraid, because I was so sensitive, and I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to judge me. So I'm just going to stay down here. And as I worked through that and started loving myself more and believing more in what it is that I do, and how I help other people, I was able to transition out of, oh, what are you going to think of me, to how can I help you? How can I help you get out of this struggle that you're in? Get out of that place where you're stuck, because most people are stuck. And I love this gift that I have so much because I am able to unstick people. So the more I have worked in this, the more I realize the importance of heart set and mindset. And that's how, and then that becomes the whole being. It affects us physically and mentally. So if we're taking bombardment from the outside world all the time and we don't put a buffer up for ourselves, that can cause physical disease. And I have watched this. And so my coaching has expanded into this. And it's like I've kind of gotten outside of myself from being judged by others. So we all have these amazing gifts. We all have these amazing dreams that we want to pursue in life, and we stop ourselves. And I am a victim of that. I did that in my life until I realized and got on the other side of that, wait a minute, I have this amazing gift and I want to be able to help people and kind of shake them by the shoulders energetically and from their hearts, which is a really beautiful place to be, to say, hey, let's wake you up. Let's get you beyond that place of stuck. Let's get you beyond that wall of fear. And that's what I've been doing. And I just take that and continue to help people in my coaching. And it just keeps getting better and better as the years go by, because it's like you become a master of your craft, no matter what that is in life. And I am a master of this craft.
You shared it beautifully, and also few things which stuck to me. One was like self-doubt, how you overcome it, because self-doubt has killed, I think, more dreams than anything else.
So true. And the self-doubt is here.
Yeah. Lauren, you mentioned about intuition, and I'm curious to know, how does one differ intuition with the self-talk or the mind chatter we have?
Right. So the intuitive part of you is that place that you go. People do it through meditation. Some people don't like meditation, so they'll do it. Maybe they take a long run and they get to that place where they're in that moment. And if they can go into their hearts, and as I said, go beyond that wall of fear, that really is where the intuitive part is. And you start listening to that instead of all the triggers that happen in your logical mind. So again, the logical mind is a wonderful thing. We want to use it for certain things. We use it definitely in business, right? However, that intuitive part of ourselves, where people say, oh, my gut doesn't feel right about this. They'll say that all the time. Oh, I like the energy of this person. Or they sort of talk about it in general terms. But if you really go within and start listening to that and the power of it, then you start using the logical mind in a different way. And how do you get to that intuitive part? You simply start with that heart breathing exercise that I shared with you and put you in that space where you felt warm and safe. That's when that voice shows up. That's when that intuitive voice starts to kick in. That's where your truth is.
I think that's beautiful, beautifully stated. I would like to know your three tips that people can actually start using as soon as they finish this podcast, that they can apply and stay in the zone of heart set plus mindset, so their whole being is taken care of.
Sure. So part of that is, as I taught you how to go into that heart space, and when you're in there, you can start thinking about, well, what puts me in my heart? You can say, oh, it's these people in my life. And that's true. You love these people in your life. But what about you and loving yourself puts you there? Well, maybe you do love to walk in nature, and nature is a place that you are embraced. Or maybe you like to paint, and that's that creative aspect where you really are in a passionate heart space. Or maybe you like to write. So there are all these different things that put you in a heart space, and you start becoming more aware. And that's the other thing I teach people, is to become aware of their thoughts. And even that can be kind of a, whoa, I'm telling myself that? I say that to myself? Wait a minute. If I'm saying that to myself, I don't really think that highly of myself. I want to think highly of myself, not in a way that is ego-based. You just want to have heart for yourself. You want to love self. And it is in that, as you start to go down, open yourself to the journey of self-love, that opens a lot of doors from within. So it's listening and being aware of those thoughts. And instead of pushing the negative thoughts away, you start to embrace them and you love them. And they're like, the thoughts are like, how can you love that? It's like, because you're me. I love all of you. And as those negative thoughts, they'll come again, but you surround them in love instead of resistance. You surround them in those moments. They become less negative because they're surrounded in love. So as we were saying, that leader who comes at you and says, life is going to be this way, you're going to live it this way, whether it's a parent or a boss or the leader of your country, whatever it is, we're not pushing back. We're saying, oh, no, I'm not taking that energy in. Why? Because I'm going to listen to me first and see how that feels for me. Well, am I going to check in with the me that's really critical, or do I want to check in with the me that has started to love myself?
Yeah, as you are saying this, I was thinking is always we are saying the worst things to ourselves, and we don't even realize that what we are talking about ourselves, and then we are blaming others for treating us badly. So it starts with treating yourself nicely, loving yourself and loving all parts of you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when you start really falling in love with yourself, you become less of a victim to the outside world. And the minute you are a victim, it's a good reminder. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not going to be a victim to my life. That person is not the reason that things are bad in my life. It's because of how I view them. I need to be aware of what I'm telling myself to shift my life. So instead of blaming other people, which means you're a victim, we say, ooh, I feel that victim thing coming in. I need to shift something within myself. So that's what I'm talking about, awareness. You start opening yourself and really starting to sense the power that actually is within you. It's your life. It's not that person's life, it's your life. And we don't want you to be a victim to your own life.
That's so profound. Don't be a victim of your own life. Thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing so much knowledge and being so authentic. Would you like to share anything before we end this session today?
I am hoping that people can walk away with that first step of going into their hearts and breathing into their hearts and becoming aware, just becoming aware of thoughts. That can be a scary proposition in the first part of your new journey, but the more you do it, just like anything, the more you work out, the more you learn a subject in school, it's that repetition. And the biggest thing is to start believing in yourself and not something from the outside. Believe here first.
Yeah, I think I don't have words to express how beautifully you have stated it. Thank you so much, Lauren. I really enjoyed our conversation. Just that the time is running, but I just wanted to continue this conversation. But hopefully we'll have you in another episode, in another season, in another episode. And I'll give this power to the audience now. If you have any questions with Lauren, please write it in the comment box, and she can guide you through your mindset and your heart set, so that you can start living a complete life, not living like a victim, but someone who loves themselves and is spreading that love and kindness.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll be back next week with another amazing expert. Do let me know how you found this session, this podcast. I'm waiting for your comments. I'll see you next week. Till then, keep smiling and keep shining. It's me, Pratishtha.